2 months before my ex-husband and I finally separated, we had a trip to Disney planned. And a few weeks before that trip, my ex-husband had gotten fired from his job and was yet again unemployed. I think the wives on here already know before I say it, but I planned that trip myself from top to bottom. It's not because I didn't want help. It's not because I didn't ask for help. It's because he would not give me help. I had narrowed down the Airbnbs to a handful of options, and I just wanted him to finalize the decision with me. Could not be bothered to find 5 minutes to sit down and look at houses with me. So I rented the house myself. I rented the minivan to drive there myself. I coordinated the trip from Pennsylvania to Florida for 4 adults, my parents went with, and 2 kids, myself. And if you've ever planned a trip to Disney, you know you don't just show up on a whim to Disney. You need to know which days you're going to which parks. And then within those parks, you need to know which restaurants you really want to go to, because you have to reserve them months in advance, especially if it's like the high demand restaurants. And then you want to do your fast passes for the big rides in advance. And then you have to coordinate your lunch reservations with your ride reservations to make sure you can get there in time. So there I am looking at maps of the parks, trying to coordinate. Can we get from that ride to that restaurant? Is that enough time? Like hours of planning, hours and hours of planning. And then packing everything for the kids for a week in Florida, plus obviously packing everything for myself. All this man had to do was show up. He just had to show up with a suitcase of clothing. I paid for everything. I coordinated everything. He just had to show up. And do you think he appreciated that? No. Shocker, right? The bitching and moaning this man did the entire trip. Nothing suited. Nothing suited. It was too hot. It was Florida. There was too much walking. There was too much waiting in line. What's the point of having reservations if you still have to wait when you get there? Why is our lunch reservation at 1:45? Who eats lunch at 1:45? Because that's what was available. Because that particular restaurant, I remember it. I don't remember what it's called, but it's the one in Magic Kingdom where like Winnie the Pooh and them all are. And it was important to let the kids have lunch with Winnie the Pooh, even if it's at 1:45, right? It's just like nothing about it suited. And if you have young kids, ours were 5 and 2 at the time, and you're planning a trip to Disney, you know that trip is not really about you. You might find some stuff that you enjoy while you're there, but the trip is for the kids. It's about letting them have that magic experience, and then you get your fulfillment from watching them have that experience, right? Like, you're not going to get to do everything you want to do, but you want to try and get your kids as many of those experiences. So we had lunch at some weird times so that the kids could have lunch with the characters. Like, that's just what you do. But every part of this trip was just so much bitching and moaning, and nothing I had done was good enough. Everything was, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Bitch, why didn't you help plan it? Right? Like, I had to do everything. And I will never forget, on the drive home, we stopped at a Chick-fil-A for lunch, and I was driving that portion of the trip. Like, we had the 4 adults, we took turns driving. I was driving as we were cruising into lunch, so I handed him my phone, because I had the Chick-fil-A app, and just to have him put in the lunch order. And it was such a fucking debacle that, like, he didn't even order anything for me. And so we get to Chick-fil-A and we have to wait for the food because I had to order more. And my mom and I are with the kids in the little play area they have there. And I lost it. Like, I just finally had a meltdown. And I remember saying to my poor mother, what's worse, putting the kids through a divorce or spending the rest of my life with this idiot? And she just looked at me, because up until that point, like, I hadn't really voiced to my parents how unhappy I was. Like, I was kind of leaving them out of it, right? But I had just seen what the rest of my life was going to be like with this man. It was going to be me doing everything and it never being appreciated. And I just couldn't do it. Let's stop pretending that letting your partner default to making all the decisions is somehow doing them a favor. Let's stop pretending that saying, oh, you do what you decide, whatever you want. Let's stop pretending that's like a gift, because it's not. I don't want to be told, oh, you decide. I want you to decide. I don't want to make all the decisions. Do you know how nice it is to just show up and somebody else has actually planned something? I never experienced that until my current relationship, where it's like my man now, he'll just plan a date night, and all I got to do is get ready and look pretty. And it's so nice. Let's start being partners. Because I think that's what we all want. We want a partner. We don't want another responsibility.
Hi ladies, welcome back again to the channel. It's so good to have you all here. So guys, you guys know that sometimes when a man says anything you want or you can decide, like it sounds like he is being easygoing, right? Or respectful of your choices. And yes, like in some cases, it genuinely comes from a place of trust or wanting to avoid unnecessary conflict. But in other cases, that phrase hides some emotional the the detachment or even avoidance of responsibility. So guys, let's look into this because in a healthy relationship, you can decide, yeah, you can decide, and he genuinely trusts your judgment and he knows you are good and at making that particular decisions, that he is showing flexibility or support. So he feels that not every decision needs to be debate, and you ask what color should we paint the living room, and he says that you have a better eyes for color. Surprise me. So this shows trust and not avoidance. But when it is avoidance, emotional withdrawal and laziness. However, there is another side, the one you are talking about. So some men use anything you want as a way to avoid uh, engagement, and here is what really is going on when they do that repeatedly. So they don't want to be involved in planning or efforts, so they fear being blamed if the decisions goes wrong. So they want to detach themselves emotionally from the outcome, and they have grown comfortably, letting you carry all the mental load. Well, ladies, what do you guys think about this video? Please drop your candid opinion in the comment section. Do well to like this video, and I will come back to talk more about it. So let's watch the remaining clip of video, then I will come back to talk more about this.
Here's a list of why I broke up with men. Like small things to you, but not to me. He asked me how much my bills were and then never offered to pay them. Why are you asking? Okay? He asked me how much I made. Why do you need to know how much I'm making? You should never consider my money as your money. He didn't pick up a tab, okay? He let my friend's boyfriend split the tab with him. That's fucking embarrassing, okay? He said he'd call and he didn't call, so I blocked him. Now he can never call. He went on a Christmas trip with his family, and the entire trip didn't message me. When he messaged me, I told him I was seeing another man. Because obviously I didn't hear from you. I thought you were dead. I was concerned about you. I was concerned. I genuinely thought this man was like hurt, because why are you not messaging me during your trip? Okay. Same man. He told me that he was going to get me a Christmas gift, and it was after Christmas. And guess what? During Christmas, I was seeing other men that were in town, seeing their families. Okay. And I had so many Christmas gifts. Okay. I told him I needed help with my rent. Different guy. And he didn't offer to pay it. He said, I have money problems. I don't deal with men that have money problems, because you're now my problem. Okay. That's disturbing. He asked me to help him furnish his house. Am I your fucking wife? Do I look like I got your fucking ring? Do I look like I have a ring? No. So why am I helping you furnish your house? It's gonna look like Barbie threw up all over it. And I didn't. I just looked at his house and I was like, sounds like you got it. Okay. And he was like, do you want to go shopping with me? I said, are you buying me furniture? He said, no. I said, then no. Why would I go furniture shopping with you? I'm not your fucking wife. Okay. A man asked me to move in with him. Move in with you? he said, a different man, said that when I married him, I would need to stay home. I said, huh? He said, yeah, I need you to stay home and like clean and do all of those things. And I said, are we going to be hiring people? He said, yeah, but like I still need you home. And I said, I like to travel, okay? I'm not going to do that. Another man asked me to travel for work with him. Huh?
So 80 to 90% of all divorces are women leaving men. Unpack that for us. I looked up the research and it's 70% of women that are initiating divorce. Would you work at a company that only had a 30% retention rate for their employees? 70% of the employees are leaving the company? Would you think, oh man, these employees suck? Or would you think, what the hell's wrong with that employer that they can't keep any employees? So then I put my researcher cap on and I read a lot of articles from psychologists who are doing all this marriage counseling to see what's really going on. And hands down, the women are mad. They feel tricked. They get into this marriage thinking that they're going to have a partner and they're going to have support. And the three biggest reasons that women are walking away from marriage is number one, their partner isn't emotionally intelligent and doesn't know how to emotionally connect. So there's no actual friendship between the husband and the wife. Number two, the women are carrying all of the mental load and emotional labor for the entire family, and it's exhausting. And number three, they're just not accepting abuse anymore. And abuse is defined as someone who tries to control you, manipulate you, or neglect you. And the statistics show that 50% of women, once they get divorced, don't remarry. They're done. But 70% of men will remarry. Because studies also show that marriage is much more beneficial for men. They live longer and they're able to make more money in their jobs because someone's holding things down at the home fort. And marriage is not beneficial for women. Men tend to rely on women to do all of the household labor, to do all of the mental load of making doctor's appointments, purchasing the things for the house, doing the cooking, the cleaning, and that the women are carrying the emotional labor as well. Meaning they're always trying to initiate connection and help regulate everybody's emotions better. I'll also add that only 27% of women say that they regret getting a divorce, whereas 39% of men say they regret getting a divorce. So the institution just isn't working for women much anymore. And so much of that has to do with the fact that men are struggling to regulate their emotions, to be emotionally intelligent, and to know how to emotionally connect with a woman, especially around the area of having empathy. So that's my interpretation of the statistics. What's yours?
Let me tell y'all about how I knew it was probably time for a divorce. So it started one morning about 4 or 5 months ago. So y'all, this is fresh. This is still pretty new. I was still in my bed and my husband was in the shower. I'm sleeping good. And of course, his alarm starts going off. When I went to go turn it off, I saw something very interesting. So you know how on iPhones and Androids, like you can see the last media played on your phone and it kind of scrolls across the screen? Well, when I picked up his phone to go turn the alarm off, the last media that was played was corn. Not corn, y'all know what I mean. Now I didn't get mad right away. I mean, I'm not a prude. I watch corn from time to time, but it was the timing. It was 7 a.m, right before work. And it was just sitting there on his screen like it was the fucking weather app. The reason this bothered me is because a couple years back, he had had an emotional affair that apparently had carried on for like a year. And one of the things that he blamed it on back then was a corn addiction. So seeing this on his phone felt very familiar, let's just say. So I texted him, probably not the best way to deal with this, but I wanted to name what I saw and give him a chance to be honest. So I told him, I said, I wasn't snooping. I just was turning off your alarm. Is there anything that I should know? This is what I asked him. So this Negro immediately calls me and he's like, well, I wasn't expecting you to see this. And I was like, well, shit, I wasn't expecting to see it either. Is there anything going on? He's dodging me. He ducking, dodging, not trying to answer the question. Finally, after the third time I asked, he finally said it. He'd been thinking about polyamory. Y'all didn't see it going there now, did you? Now, listen, polyamory wasn't even new to us. Not that we participated in it, but I had casually brought it up to him over like a decade ago. Like it was one of those maybe in 10 years conversations. But this Negro never let it go. And here we were. So at first, I was devastated. I'm going to be honest. But I was also so broken at that point in our relationship that I actually tried to entertain it, y'all. I started texting him rules and boundaries and shit like I was prepping for it. But eventually I got quiet and I realized that I don't want this. I can't do this. And I told him that, and he seemed fine with it. That night he came home and we barely spoke to each other. But let me tell y'all what I did. I sat on the couch, I opened up my laptop, pulled up a Google Doc, and I literally sat there for a couple of hours and wrote out everything. 16 years of history, the good, the bad, the numb, and then I dropped all that shit into ChatGPT. And I asked ChatGPT, does this man love me? And ChatGPT did the equivalent of a long sigh. And it laid out all the facts and said, from what you're describing, it does not sound like love. Y'all, let me tell you, I physically threw up and I didn't need ChatGPT to tell me this. I was there, but just to see it on paper, that shit rocked me. And so I went to him and I asked, why do you love me? And his answer, you take care of me and you take care of the kids. And let me tell y'all are probably like, girl, he had been honestly saying this for years when I would ask him. We'd been together for 16 years. So of course I'd asked him this question before. But this time something broke. Or maybe something finally clicked. I don't know. It was like a movie scene, y'all. It was like a movie was playing in my head. Scene after scene, shooting in my head. All the moments I had brushed off. All the times I told myself, that's just how he is. It felt like I was watching like my own relationship on a screen and suddenly I could not unsee it. I saw the emotional distance I had been excusing for years. The way I had been filling in the gaps, doing the heavy lifting to just keep us connected while he stayed absent. I realized I had been building the bridge both ways and calling it love. And in that moment, I finally saw it clearly. This wasn't just about him being broken. I was broken too. I had been so busy trying to carry the weight for both of us that I had just ignored how empty it left me. So from that moment on, we have lived in separate rooms. We were lucky and blessed enough to have a separate space for him to go. And at first, I thought that the space might spark some clarity. I thought maybe if I step back, he'd step forward and fill in the gap. But what I've gotten instead was mostly silence, avoidance, and distance. And that's when I realized this isn't the beginning of healing for our marriage. This is the beginning of the end of it. But here's the thing though. I don't share this for pity, and I'm not trying to bash him. It's just the truth, my truth. I share it because I know so many women are sitting in that same quiet confusion, just wondering if they're crazy for feeling unloved while just holding everything together. You're not crazy. You're not weak. And you damn sure aren't alone. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had that one moment where everything just clicked and you knew the relationship you were in wasn't built to last? This was my story.
So ladies, welcome back again and thank you so much for clicking toward this video. So what do you guys think about the whole clip? Please let me know what you think in the comment section. So let's continue from where we stopped. We were talking about the first clip of this video. So many men often avoid responsibility. Yeah, like sometimes you guys had a story that a lady shared. Yeah, she was literally the one that plans almost everything, and this man, like whenever he asks him like what should he do, he say anything, just do whatever you wish. So to me, I really do think that this kind of men, they are just trying to avoid responsibilities. Yeah, they are trying to avoid their rules, the things that they are supposed to do. They are trying to avoid them, and that does not make any sense. So when one partner constantly defends decision making, and I really do think that this creates an emotional imbalance, right? And one person carries the weight of responsibility and the other becomes passive and uninvolved. So resentment grows, especially when things go wrong and the other person suddenly criticize or say, I did not ask for it. So this dynamic can make the proactive partner feel alone in the relationship, or even though they are technically not single. So if you notice this pattern in your relationship, like try this approaches, like call it out calmly. Like you can just go ahead and say something like, oh, notice that, or you often say, oh, you are fine with whatever I decide. Like it makes me feel like I am the only one thinking about these things. So can we talk about what you do really prefer? At least you can just use this method to really hear from them. So ladies, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts under the comment section. Do well to like this video and do well to subscribe to this channel in case you have not subscribed already. So you stay tuned and see you all in my next episode. Bye.